ever had a moment in your career where, everything just sort of maybe fell apart? So maybe a job loss or a toxic work environment or a rejection that stung maybe just a little bit more than you expected? Yeah, me too. But here's what I've learned. Sometimes the hardest moments are actually the greatest gifts. And here's what I mean by that. Hi, I'm Sheila Butler. And if you like talking all things leadership with a pretty low tolerance for BS, you're in the right place. So I want to share a story with you. Many years ago, I co-founded my first business, and on the outside, everything looked good. Everything looked like it was what I dreamed of, and it was successful. We had traction, we had clients, we had revenue, we had momentum. But behind the scenes, things were a little differently than I had hoped for with my business partner, and things were starting to unravel a bit. And eventually, we had what we'll call a business breakup. And I'll be honest, I wasn't prepared for it, not emotionally, not strategically. And because I didn't fully believe in my own capabilities at the time, I agreed to sell my share of the business and walk away. It devastated me. I remember feeling like I'd failed. I remember feeling ashamed. I remember feeling like I had imposter syndrome. And I questioned everything about my judgment, about my confidence, and about my future. But then something unexpected happened. So almost immediately, people began reaching out to me. People actually that I didn't even realize were paying attention. So people knew that I had had this business transition, and they started asking me for help. They asked me to help come in and streamline their business. Can you help us grow? And like that, I realized that I had a talent that I hadn't fully owned. And there were people who needed it, and I just didn't even realize it. That moment of loss, it cracked me open. And what poured out was clarity, strength, and a new path that I wouldn't have chosen on my own. But I was absolutely meant to walk that path. So leaving that business was hard, but it was the beginning of something new for me that I didn't even know existed. And it really aligned with me. And it taught me to trust my instincts, to own my gifts, and to never again doubt what I was able to bring to the table. At the time, I thought it was a disaster. But looking back on it now, it was a turning point, and it forced me to slow down, to reassess my values, and to get really clear on what I actually wanted. So I don't want to try and make that sound like the whole situation was any easier than it was, because it wasn't. And I was feeling, really pretty down. And at the time, I didn't get that it's natural. I felt really alone. But research shows that career setbacks are often really just redirections and reinvention. And Harvard research says that it's actually our working identities evolve through experimentation, and yes, even in crisis. So psychologist Carol Dweck, she calls this a growth mindset, that the belief that abilities develop through effort and learning. And they develop even when the learning are pretty big roadblocks and stumbles and put you in a place that you don't want to be in. We still learn, and we really do become better people because of it, but when you're in the thick of it, it's really hard to see that. So let's flip the script a little bit, right? So let's turn this back to you, because my guess is you've probably had your own version of your own roadblock or professional detour, but have you sat in it? Have you thought about it? Have you taken a moment to pause and reframe that whole thinking to see what you've learned? So let's think about that. What is the one moment in your career that felt like a failure, but it ended up redirecting you towards something better? Or how did that experience actually shape the way you see yourself or your work, or what you truly want in your professional and personal life? And what did it teach you about your strengths and your values and your vision? So you might not have all the answers right now, and that's okay. But with these questions, maybe stop and journal about them, or talk to a friend about them, or drop a comment below and let's talk about them together. Because you never know what or how your own story can inspire someone else that's going through the trenches that you've been through. And maybe you haven't even really taken the time to realize all the gifts that you learned from it. So let's share those. Think about it. Here's the truth. The roadblock, it isn't the end, it's the bend. It's the moment where everything feels like it's falling apart, feels drastic, it feels really bad, but it really is something better unfolding. Maybe it's time for you to stop tolerating that toxic environment which doesn't help you grow. Or maybe it's When you realize that you've been chasing someone else's dream, like someone else's version of success, maybe isn't even yours. Maybe it's time that you reclaim that definition. Or maybe it's like it was for me. You lost something that you thought you couldn't live without. It takes some time, but you really do finally discover that it was maybe never meant to be your forever. These are all turning points, and they're uncomfortable, and they feel like failure. But they really are invitations. They're invitations to realign, to seek clarity, and to seek expansion. Your job isn't just to survive moments. Your job is to extract meaning from them, to ask, what is this teaching me? Who am I becoming because of this? Think of it like this. A seed breaks before it grows. A detour often gets you to a destination that you didn't even know you were meant to be on. Sometimes the breakdown is what breaks the old version of you so that the real version or the new version of you can come through. You're not weak. You're hitting a wall. You're human. But that power comes from when you choose to turn that wall into a stepping stone. That's the moment everything changes. Here's what I've taken away and what I've learned from my career setbacks. So because, hindsight's exactly what they say. It's 2020 and it's ruthless, but it's a brilliant teacher. So failure is feedback. It's not identity. I used to think that failure meant that there was something wrong with me, like maybe I wasn't good enough, maybe I wasn't smart enough or strong enough, whatever it was. But I've learned that failure is rarely about who you are. It's about what isn't aligned. Failure is data. It shows you what's not working and it gives you clues for what needs to change. But it never, ever defines your worth. It's also important to remember that alignment matters more than achievement. So I've chased titles and revenue and visibility, and yes, those things do feel good in the moment. But if the work isn't aligned with who you are and what you value, the achievement won't fulfill you. So if you're in a hard season right now, just pause. Just breathe. It's okay. You don't have to have it all figured out. But keep asking the right questions and keep showing up with courage. And trust this. What feels like setback may actually be a setup for the most aligned, fulfilling chapter of your career yet. If you like these conversations that we're having, comment below. If you're having a tough season in your life and want to share it or want to talk to someone about it, let me know. I love talking with other people about their careers, their challenges, their successes. We're all here together. So leave a comment below, subscribe if you would like, and tune in for next week.